happy summer. I hope you're all enjoying spending lots of time outside playing with your friends and family. And this is also the perfect time for you to enjoy our special omnibus edition of Journey with Story, where you can listen to all of this month's episodes in one place. Oh, mums and dads, don't forget you can download some free colouring sheets to accompany each episode if you go to www.journeywithstory.com and click on the Become a Patreon orange tab. It's up there at the top of each page. And also, if you scroll right down, it's right there at the bottom of every page too. Thanks to all of you, our loyal Patreon subscribers. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's take an omnibus journey with Story. Now, let's take a journey with Munna and the grain of rice. Munna, where are you? Here, Ma, Munna replied. I am playing with the elephants. Munna, the elephant keeper's daughter, lived behind the palace grounds. She had never been to school and could not afford any toys. So instead, she played with what was around her: sand, sticks and stones, and made friends with birds and animals and even insects. She spent many happy hours with the elephants that her family cared for and loved deeply. Sometimes she rode on their backs, pretending that she was a Rani, a queen. Munna liked to observe everything around her. She would examine the legs of insects and the wings of butterflies, peer closely at the leaves on the trees and the grains of rice on the stalks of paddy, press her ear against the broad sides of the elephants, and listen to the rumblings in the stomachs of these gentle giants. She would even count the hairs on their tails. But life in the small kingdom where Munna lived was not easy. The Raja, the king, would say, I rule my kingdom fairly, I care for my people, and I am wise and just. I am a good Raja. The farmers in the kingdom were not so sure. They planted rice, working with bent backs in the fields all day. One day the Raja ordered, From now on you will bring all your rice to me, except what you need to feed yourselves. I will keep it safe for you in my granary. The farmers had no choice. They did as they were told. And every year the Raja allowed them just enough rice to keep body and soul together. But one year the rain did not fall, and there was a famine. The farmers had no food to give the Raja or to feed themselves. They waited in vain for the Raja to give them some rice. But I cannot give you the rice, or there will be none left for me, said the Raja. A king cannot go hungry, or no one will call him Raja. The people did not dare say anything. Munna, with her bright eyes and inquiring mind, watched as the hungry people starved and grew sad. She wondered what she could do. One day a servant loaded sacks of rice from the granary onto the back of an elephant. He led the elephant towards the royal kitchen. But there was a tiny hole in one of the sacks, and some grains of rice fell through. Munna picked them up. She gathered them carefully in her skirt and took them back to the Raja. The Raja decided to reward her for her honesty. He He offered her gold, silver, and jewels, but Munna bowed low and humbly. "Your Majesty, I am small, and I need very little. All I want is 1 grain of rice." The Rajah was surprised. "Nonsense! You must have more. After all, I am the Rajah." "Your Majesty, if it be your royal command," said the girl, "I will accept more, but only for 1 month. Give me 1 grain of rice on the first day, and on every day following, give me only twice what you have given me the day before." The Rajah thought it was really too little, but she was, after all, a simple, foolish girl, an elephant keeper's daughter, and so he agreed. So, on the first day, Munna accepted 1 grain of rice. On the second day, she accepted 2 grains of rice. On the third day, 4. On the fourth day, 8, and so on. She saved them all. On the 10th day, Munna was given 512 grains, about 1 handful of rice. Together with all that she'd received so far, she now had 1,023 grains. She gave it all to her mother, who put it aside carefully. On the 14th day, which was halfway through the traditional Indian lunar month, Munna was presented with 8,192 grains of rice. By the next day, there was enough rice to fill 4 bowls. 4 bowls for 3 people. Her mother cooked just as much as the 3 of them, with their small stomachs, could eat. That night, they shared a meal of rice. It was delicious. On the 20th day, Munna was given 16 small bags of rice. Together with what had come earlier, she now had almost 32 small bags of rice. On the 21st day, she received more than 1,000,000 grains of rice, 1,048,576 grains. In fact, it was enough to fill a large basket. It looked so big in their tiny little hut. The family moved around it carefully. On the 25th day, she received 16 baskets. Had they been placed one on top of the other, the pile would have been as high as an elephant. It was a good thing it did not rain then, for the soldiers arranged the baskets neatly beside the elephants in the yard in front of the hut. As they did, they wondered at the cleverness of the little girl. On the last day of the month, the 28th day, Munna received 128 baskets of rice. The Rajah was astounded, for that was the entire contents of his granary. He looked around. There was not a single grain of rice left for him. But Munna was smart. She knew how difficult it would be for the people to live under an unhappy ruler. "I do not need all this rice, Your Majesty," said Munna. "I cannot eat it all, and I have no place to keep it. May I request that you, as a good and kind king, use it to feed the hungry people of our kingdom?" The Rajah promised to do so. As the people of the kingdom received enough rice to fill their bellies, they bowed to the Rajah. But in their hearts, they thanked their own little Munna, the girl with a clever head and a truly generous heart. And let's take a journey with the story of Tam and Kam. Long ago, in a small village, there lived a sweet, kind young girl named Tam. After her mother died, she and her father lived alone together. But one day, Tam's father married again. His new wife was a widow who also had a young daughter named Kam. For a few years, the four of them lived together peacefully. But when her father passed away, everything changed for Tam. Tam's stepmother was mean and selfish. She doted on Kam, but ignored and abused poor Tam. All day long, Tam watered the manioc roots and harvested golden yams, while Kam chased butterflies and picked wild flowers. Tam worked hard and never complained. Over time, she grew into a beautiful young woman. Her stepmother, jealous for her own daughter, wanted to hide Tam's beauty. She gave her tattered clothes to wear and sent her to work long hours in the sun so that her skin would become dry and ruddy, and gave her only leftover scraps and unripe bananas to eat. One day the stepmother sent the girls to the river to catch fish. "Come home with your basket full, or you will have no supper," she threatened. The girls went to the river, and as usual, Tam worked hard, while Kam basked in the sun. Several hours later, Tam's basket was full of fish, and Kam's was empty. Kam was just as mean-spirited as her mother, and she said to Tam, "Sister, your hair is so dirty. You should go wash it before we go home, or else Mother will be angry." When Tam went to the water to wash her hair, Kam quickly dumped all of Tam's fish into her own basket and hurried home. When Tam returned and saw her empty basket, she wept because she knew she would be punished. Suddenly, a beautiful fairy appeared before her. "Do not cry, child, but look in your basket. See this little fish? Look after it, and only good things will come to you." Tam looked into her basket and saw a little orange fish. She named him Bong and kept him in a little pond in the yard, secretly bringing him a few grains of rice each day. For weeks, Tam would call out, "Bong, come and eat," and little Bong would come up and eagerly eat his rice. Tam was happy to have a new friend. One day, Kam and her mother saw Tam happily feeding Bong. Since they never wanted to see Tam happy, they hatched a wicked plan. "Come on, Mother, help me catch the fish. I want to eat it," cried Kam. "Yes, my dear, we'll do it the moment Tam goes to work in the field," replied the stepmother. As soon as Tam was away, Kam put on Tam's ragged clothes and rubbed dirt on her face and called to the fish, "Bong, come and eat." When Bong came to the surface, the stepmother and Kam caught him and cooked him. When Tam came home, she called out to her friend, "Bong, come and eat." But Bong did not come. Tam looked around and saw fish bones near the pond and sadly realized what had happened. She carefully buried the bones and said farewell to Bong. A few days later, Tam found a beautiful pair of red velvet embroidered shoes where Bong's bones had been buried. She knew they must have been a gift from Bong and the fairy. Tam was overjoyed. Never before had she owned anything so beautiful. She carefully tucked the shoes into her skirt pocket Whenever she was alone in the field, safe from the eyes of others, she would put them on and imagine a happier life. One morning rain poured from the sky, and Tam ran as fast as she could to bring the cows and the buffaloes to the barn. While running, she dropped her beautiful shoes into the muddy pond. She carefully washed them in the river and hung them on the buffaloes' horns to dry. Suddenly one shoe was snatched by a raven, who carried it away and dropped it in front of the king's palace. Tam was devastated at the loss of her shoe and took great care to keep her remaining shoe safe. At the palace, the king stumbled upon Tam's shoe. He marvelled at how delicate and beautiful it was. Whoever can wear such a shoe must be as lovely and graceful as the shoe itself, and I must make her my wife, he exclaimed. Thus he sent out a proclamation that the maiden whose foot fit the shoe would become his queen. Word quickly spread throughout the kingdom. When Tam heard the news, she thought, "This must be my missing shoe," and begged her stepmother to allow her to try it on. "You ugly thing, you may not even leave this house until you finish sorting these grains," the cruel stepmother shrieked. She mixed all the grain together in a huge basket and rushed off with Cam to meet the king's messenger. As the heartbroken Tam began to weep, the fairy appeared. "Do not worry, dear child. Help will come," she cried. She summoned the ravens who flew to Tam's side, and within minutes had sorted every single grain. With cries of deepest gratitude, Tam happily rushed off to try on the shoe. Many women were pushing and pulling, but no one's foot was tiny enough to fit the shoe. When Cam's turn came, she squeezed with all of her might, but she could not force her foot into the shoe. At last it was Tam's turn. And of course, the shoe fit her perfectly. Then she surprised everyone by pulling out the other red velvet shoe. The messenger whisked Tam off to the king, and they were married that day. From then on, Tam lived a happy life as a queen, but she never forgot the kind fairy or her dear friend Bong. Now let's take a journey with the Battle of the Wind and the Rain. One clear day, thunder, lightning, and rain were resting among the fluffy clouds that dotted the sunny sky. Wind played among them, gracefully dancing round and round, shifting the patterns in the sky ever so slightly. "I'm bored," Wind announced. "Let's make a storm." "We just made a huge one the other day," Lightning pointed out. "And I'm tired." "Oh, you're always tired," said Wind. You're just not as strong as I am. Fine, Lightning said. I'm not. What about you, Thunder? Wind said. Do you want to stir up something exciting? No, Thunder answered. I'd rather wait until Lightning is ready. Wind whirled around them a little faster, causing the clouds to move across the blue sky rather suddenly. Hey, Rain said irritably. Stop that. We're trying to sleep. Wind laughed and blew one big gust at Rain. So make me stop, he said. Oh, please, Rain said. Why can't you ever sit still? Because I'm wind, he replied, the most powerful of all nature's elements. Go play somewhere else, Rain said, closing her eyes. We already know you're powerful. Wind could tell Rain was close to losing her patience. This made him want to irritate her more. So he sucked in his breath and he let out a blast of the coldest air he could muster. Rain shivered. I said leave me alone. Come on, Wind said. Let's play a game to see who's more powerful, you or me. Rain didn't answer, so Wind blew more cold air on her. All right, Rain said, no longer sleepy. But if I beat you, then you have to promise to flee whenever you see me. Wind laughed gleefully. Ha ha! Okay. And if I beat you, you have to promise that you'll never shed your tears on the earth again. Rain knew that would be a terrible promise to make. If she lost, then all the animals, plants, and people on the earth would die. They needed her tears in order to stay alive. Rain hesitated. Well, said Wind, are you afraid to lose? No, Rain said, pushing aside her doubts. I will beat you. Ha ha, Wind said in excitement. Let's go down to earth now. Rain followed Wind down to earth, leaving Lightning and Thunder to rest. Soon they spotted a monkey atop a bamboo tree. You see that monkey? Rain said, still annoyed at Wind. If you can drop that monkey from the tree, you win. No problem, Wind said confidently. I can make hurricanes and tornadoes and typhoons. Of course I can knock that monkey down. Then he sucked in his breath and let out a mighty whoosh. Rain sat back, more relaxed now. She knew very well that bamboo could easily bend in the wind and that it would never break. She only hoped the monkey could keep hanging on. Whoosh, whoosh, Wind went. Whoosh, whoosh. But his blows did nothing more than sway the monkey back and forth, just like a hammock might. After an hour of blowing as hard as he could, Wind finally gave up. Okay, he said, exhausted. I can't do it. But I'm sure you can't either. We'll see about that, Rain said. Then the clouds turned grey and the sky darkened, and it began to drizzle. After that, Rain called in the western rains, and it started to rain more heavily, a warm and steady shower. A little while later, Wind said, Ha ha! You can't do it either. I guess nobody wins this contest. No, wait, Rain said. I haven't tried the eastern rains." The strongest eastern rains then began to strike down on the poor monkey, who was already very wet. Big, fat drops were hitting him on the head, and he had to shut his eyes to keep the water out. Finally, the monkey climbed down to the ground and scampered off to look for cover. "I won," Rain said triumphantly. "I beat you." Wind, who looked almost upset as the monkey, turned his back on Rain and flew off without saying a word. He, the most powerful of all elements, had actually lost to Rain, and now, just as he had promised, he would have to flee whenever he saw her. That's why, when the winds are very strong, people always pray for rain. Once the rain comes, the wind always dies down, and everything becomes more peaceful. Now, let's take a journey with Sultan the tiger and the little green frog, a tale from China. Once upon a time, when the world was very, very young, men and animals could talk to each other in their forest homes. Sultan was the name of an old tiger who used to wander about in the forest in search of food. One day, as he was snuffling along the banks of a stream, a little frog began to tease him. Perched atop a mound of grass and mud, Master Frog blinked his big black eyes as he shouted boldly to the tiger, "And where may you be going this bright, beautiful morning?" To himself, though, Croaky Frog said, "He has certainly come here to eat me, and only my wits can save me." Sultan the tiger answered, "I am going into the forest to get something to eat. For 3 or 4 days I haven't eaten a morsel, and I am tired and very hungry. I think I will grab you and eat you, although you are unbearably small. Nothing more than an appetizer. But first, tell me who you are." The little green frog blew up his belly as round as he could, and he answered in his deepest, croakiest voice, "I am the king of the frogs. I can leap very far indeed, and can do all kinds of wonderful things. Come now, here is a small river. Let's have a competition to see which of us can jump farther across it." Sultan answered, "Good, but I must take the first turn." While the tiger was making ready for his leap, the frog crept around his mound of grass and mud, seized the tip of the tiger's tail, and held fast. Sultan took a flying leap to the other bank of the river, unaware that he was carrying the clever little green frog with him. Proud of his strength and agility, Sultan turned to look back toward the water when, to his surprise, he heard a voice directly behind him. "What are you looking for, Mr. Tiger?" There, sitting off in the meadow, far beyond the spot to which the tiger had jumped, sat the little green frog. Sultan had no idea of the clever trick by which he had gotten there. Well, Mr. Tiger, said the frog, laughing, since I have beaten you in this competition, let's have another. Let's practice spitting. Not to be outwitted by so silly a little creature, the tiger accepted the challenge. But Sultan had had nothing to eat. His stomach was quite empty, and his tongue was quite dry, and try as hard as he would, only a little water trickled from his mouth when he tried to spit. When the little green frog's turn came, he spat out a great mass of tiger hair, which he had bitten from the end of the tiger's tail as they sailed across the river. How does it happen that you have tiger's hair in your stomach? Asked Sultan, shaking with fear. Oh, said the frog eerily. Yesterday I killed a tiger and ate him, and these are just a few hairs I couldn't digest. Now Sultan thought to himself, he must be terribly strong indeed to kill a tiger. And today he has jumped further than I across this stream. I'd better escape from him while I can. So he turned about and fled from the forest. The farther he went, the faster he ran, until finally he reached the very top of the mountain. As he sat down to catch his breath, he saw his old friend, Mr. Fox, coming down the path. What makes you run so fast, Sultan? Asked the fox. Oh, panted the tiger, I've seen the king of the frogs. He had just eaten many tigers. He had leaped over the river and was planning to eat me. The fox laughed at him and said, Oh, you're a great tiger, running away from a little frog, while I, a small fox, could get him under my foot and stamp him out. If you think you can kill him, I will go back with you, said the tiger. But when you see him, I know that you too will be afraid and will run away. We had better tie our tails together so that we can help each other. So the tiger and the fox tied their tails together in strong knots and started off down the mountain to find the little green frog. The clever little frog sat on his mound of grass and mud, chuckling over the tricks he had played on the great strong tiger. But as he sat there ruminating, he watched the path leading out of the deep, dark forest, for he was sure he had not seen the last of Sultan. Can those two shining green lights possibly be tiger eyes? He asked himself. Before he could answer himself, the sharp nose of Mr. Fox appeared. And then the frog saw that, tied to his tail, Mr. Fox dragged along his old enemy, Mr. Tiger. Then the little green frog shouted in his loudest voice, You, sir, are a great fox. Today you haven't brought any worthy present to your king. Turn about and look at your tail. Is that a little dog you have brought along for my evening meal? Then Sultan the tiger was sure that the fox was playing a trick on him and was leading him to the king of the frogs to be killed and devoured. So he turned about and ran with all his might, dragging the fox behind him. He ran so fast that if they are not dead now, they are still running through the forest. But the clever little green frog sat on his mound of grass and mud, blinked his eyes, blew up his belly, and grunted and chuckled at the way he had fooled the great striped tiger. I hope you enjoyed this special playlist. Be sure to send us your drawings at www.journeywithstory.com. Click on the contact and fill in the form there and attach your drawing. Cheerio then. Join me next time for Journey with Story. Music and post-production was by Colette Jonas.